You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by.
On the morning shift.
Anything
Could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh. Glad to be here with you. Thankful that you're here with us. It is Tuesday, October the 8th, 2024. We got a great show planned for you today, so stay tuned. It's going to be great. Got lots of local news stories for you and news from Canada and abroad. And hopefully we'll have time for our deep dive that we didn't get a chance to get to yesterday on our medical system here in North America. And how did it get to the point that it is now? Why do we have the medical system that we do? Where did it come from? Who started it? When did it start? All that stuff. So just a little bit of information in case you're interested. Getting off to about a 5-minute late start this morning. So I apologize for that. Thanks for joining us. We're live on CKLU 96.7 FM each and every weekday morning between 7:30 and 8:30. We're also streaming live at cklu.ca. If you're at the website, you can stream us by clicking on the Radio Player Canada app. You can download it, take us with you, listen to us anywhere, anytime on your favorite device. You can also, while you're there, pick out some merch that you like, a t-shirt, a mug, a hat, anything. And with that, you're supporting the station. And if you already have the merch or you don't need any merch, just make sure to drop a donation. Just hit the donation button. It's from people like you that we're able to keep the lights on and the airways open. And it is your station. This is your conversation on your station each and every weekday morning as Sudbury News hits the airwaves bright and early for an hour, giving you a chance to chime in on our latest stories from local and abroad, taken from our local news aggregator, Sudbury.news. So we are live streaming on Facebook.com and YouTube.com. Facebook.com/Sudbury News, YouTube.com/Sudbury News. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and follow the channel and the page. But mainly comment, because we'll do our best to get your comments up on the screen for those watching and read for those listening. At some point, though, we aren't able to get everybody's comments up, and sometimes the show is gone because I'm trying to get everybody's comments in, but at some point we got to get to the news stories and the topics of the day as well. So trying to get a balance here. It's just myself, a local volunteer who came up with the concept of the show, and with help from various people in my personal network, including Billy and Zach and others, Nick Gervais, was able to kind of put the show together, get it off and running. And occasionally they join us on the show, and but they're also busy in their lives. And so I myself try to keep the show going I do keep the show going each and every day. And it's not easy to be the technical person, the producer, the on-air personality, and the moderator all in one shot. So I just ask for people's patience and mercy if the show doesn't sound like it's coming from a multi-million-dollar, well-produced, well-funded news organization. So thank you very much. And I know the people that are on each and every day do appreciate that and do understand that. And we have a great time each and every day. So if you're new to the show, that's a little bit of a rundown of it. We usually start off with a little bit of weather, local weather, some check-ins, and then local headlines, news headlines, and then hopefully a deep dive in the day. The show is also found on demand afterwards on those two platforms, Facebook and YouTube, along with Twitter, X, formerly twitter.com/Sudbury News, and on our news aggregator, Sudbury.news. You can just click on Sudbury News Talk tab and you can watch the show on demand afterwards. So let's dive right in, starting off with a little bit of weather. We'll be back right after this. And our local weather brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. Currently it's 0 degrees, but it feels like -3. So I guess gardening season is over officially. Today it will be sunny with fog patches dissipating in the morning, and the high will be 12. UV index 3 or moderate. Tonight will be becoming cloudy. 40% chance of showers overnight. +2 will be the low, so it's getting cooler and cooler. Wednesday, tomorrow, cloudy with a 40% chance of showers. The wind will be gusting up to 50 in the morning. High of 9. UV index 1 or low. And your long range looks like, again, a 40% chance of showers on Wednesday. Thursday, sunny. High of 18 or high of 12 on Thursday. High of 18 on Friday with a 30% chance of showers. Then 12 is your high on Saturday with a mix of sun and cloud. High of 8 on Sunday with a 30% chance of showers. 30% chance of showers on Monday as well with a high of 8 degrees. That's your long range 6-day forecast. And a look at your satellite taken as of 4:30 a.m. shows a lot of the clearing in this area. And the weather lately has been a lot of these just strips of clouds with, stripes of clearing on an angle coming from the west, basically. So it's just all these different cloud systems coming through. And that's your weather, brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. We'll be back. News headlines, your comments, and more right after this. So thanks for sticking with us, everyone. We'll have a few check-ins this morning, and we have first to the YouTube party this morning. Nana, good morning to you, and I've been hoping to check in with you and to see how your operation went. And so if you want to just maybe drop a note in the comments to as far as how you're feeling, how everything went. I've been meaning to check up with you and meaning to get in touch with my brother as well. So if you are able to pass the word on to him, just let him know to reach out to me. Really appreciate it. Thanks. And Vin, good morning to you, as well as Judy. Good morning. And thanks for sharing that information yesterday, Vin. I'll have a chance to get that on the show possibly tomorrow. And I wanted to break it down, the cost of the new arena. Basically, I didn't want to share the whole video because it's kind of long, so I'll have to do my homework today. So Judy, good morning. Marianne, good morning from Barrie, liked and shared as usual. Chili Berry, by the way. And Belinda, good morning to you. When the mind is weak, circumstances become problems. When the mind is stable, circumstances become challenges. When the mind is strong, circumstances become opportunities. Stay strong, friends. Heart emoji and much appreciated. So again, I like that. It's like 3 stages of the mind. If you have a weak mind, your circumstances are problems. When your mind is stable, your circumstances become challenges. And when your mind is strong, circumstances become possibilities or opportunities. That's a very neat way of looking at it. And that's why you always want to give your head a checkup from the neck up and make sure that your mind is strong and clear and balanced and ready for the opportunities instead of turning molehills into mountains and not being able to take on the challenge of the day. There's a promise that we have from our Creator. I'll just put that out there, that we'll never have more challenges than we can handle in our lives. So if you're like, I can't take this anymore, it's just too much, just know that maybe it is that you have to get your mind right and your heart right first before you look at the circumstances before you, because you should be able to handle them if you are taking care of yourself first. You should have the ability to handle the challenges and look at them as opportunities, even the worst challenges. And believe me, I'm speaking from experience of somebody who's had a challenge or two, as we all have. And I know that what Belinda's sharing is true. So thank you very much, Belinda, for that, as usual. Claire, good morning. Still here in Sudbury! Exclamation point. Thanks for being on, Claire, and thanks for being still in Sudbury for us. And Pat, good morning! Exclamation point. Good morning, Pat, to you as well. As Jerome, good morning. It is a disease management system, money maker. I think so, and we're going to be talking about that a little bit later about our healthcare system currently and what brought us here, and it is a moneymaker. That's 100% true. There's no doubt about it. We do know this. It's a $1 trillion industry worldwide, but it doesn't seem like we're getting any healthier. So this is the reason why I think we want to talk about this today. Vin, oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. And Grand Rising Monique with a heart emoji. And some love being shared here for Nana. Wishing her a speedy recovery. Monique, good morning. Free thinkers are those who are willing to use their minds without prejudice and without fearing to understand. Things clash with their own customs, privileges, or beliefs. This state of mind is not common, but it is essential for right thinking. Very great words of wisdom there as well, Monique. Thank you very much for that. And we do all have prejudice based on our customs, privileges, or beliefs. And it's great to be aware of that. And when you approach thinking about certain people or circumstances, if you already know that, you can go in with a well-balanced way of thinking. And Leand, good morning to you. All of our factories were shipped to China and India, and now they are invading Canada for our jobs. Interesting. That is definitely what it seems like. And we know all our jobs were outsourced. All of our manufacturing was outsourced during the 80s and 90s and 2000s. And now we see a huge shift in the world's economy because of it. And yes, you do see immigration numbers due to our government's policies being through the roof. And thanks for sharing the podcast, Claire. Much appreciated. Let's see here. Monique, sorry. My quote was from Leo Tolstoy, a Russian author. Wow. You didn't come up with that yourself, Monique? Excuse me. As I'm kind of battling something in my throat this morning, I apologize for that. That would be very frustrating for someone to listen to. So I appreciate sticking around. So Nana says surgery went extremely well. And as you're in recovery, I'm out and about already. Thanks for the prayers. It's much appreciated. Yes, for sure. I'm glad that everything went well and is going well, Nana. So HSN is shifting to One Health following the agenda. Yes, that has been in the news, right? So they're switching to One Health. And please explain. Debbie's on, so she says, please explain. So just explain what you want us to explain, if that's okay, just because it's early in the morning and I'm not sure. We talked about a couple things already, but if you can just put in the comments there and we'll do our best. Cheap labor while Canadians are left in the dust is sad. And that is the shift in our economy with having China being the manufacturing country of the world, basically. You also have other countries too, wherever it's cheap labor and cheap taxes and wherever these companies can get it done cheaply. But China seems to be the mecca for industry and for manufacturing. Then you have other countries as well doing it. Mexico is an alternative for North American manufacturing, where a lot of our jobs were shipped there. And Taiwan, they do their thing. There's other countries in the world, India, as was mentioned. And I think there was a plan to use Africa, as far as I can remember, as the last kind of majorly exploited nation to, or not nation, but continent or area, to kind of be the world's whatever, cheap labor, cheap whatever. But I'm not sure if it's going that way. I don't think so. I don't think it'll quite get to the point where that happens, although they've been exploited throughout history very much in different ways. And we know about that history for sure. And good morning, Linda. Thanks for being on from River Valley. And Marianne, technically would be considered slave labor in the real world. It would be, for sure. And that's what it is. It is, for sure. Okay, so heading over to our stories on Sudbury.news, starting off with the city. To get city money for a project, the mayor wants the developer to tear down the Sudbury Hospital. So this is coming from our Sudbury.news aggregator website. And the story is from the Sudbury Star. Panoramic Properties wants $1.7 million from the city to redevelop the Scotia Tower. A request from the mayor wants to use as leverage to get rid of the lingering eyesore. Well, I thought it was a work of art there. I thought that people really wanted us to enjoy this colorful edifice that was on Paris Street, but I guess it's kind of turned into more of an eyesore these days. And so I guess in order to get $1.7 million from the city to redevelop the Scotia Tower, I'm sure everybody who lives in Sudbury knows what the Scotia Tower is, downtown Sudbury, the glass building. And they want to, I guess, redevelop it into condos. So in order to get money from the city, the mayor says, you better tear down that old hospital first, and then we'll see what we can do. Other stories here from our news aggregator as we go through. I know I was looking through this morning and I saw a few. Cambrian College is now, their athletics are going to be branded to they had some sports teams that were in black and gold, and they're going to be transitioning to burgundy and gold, which is more in line with Cambrian College's colors. So that was definitely a no-brainer. So artifacts returned to Northern Ontario First Nation. For decades, Mississauga First Nation has known that human remains from their land were being held at the Canadian Museum of History, and so now they're going to be transported back and given a proper burial here in on the North Shore. So that's good news for them, as it's another part of reconciliation is just working together to say, yeah, you know what, that's sacred to First Nation, and it would be sacred to anybody. If your loved one was in a museum, I'm sure you'd want them in a proper burial, right? So, and this is Fire Prevention Week. I don't know if anyone knew that. So yesterday was the beginning of Fire Prevention Week, one of the longest standing public health observances in the country. So that story from CTV, if you want to check that out. And speaking on keeping with the Indigenous theme, should Orange Shirt Day be a stat? ? Minister wonders who would spend the time reflecting. So Ontario's Indigenous Affairs Minister floats canvassing provincial civil servants who had the day off already on Orange Shirt Day, Truth and Reconciliation Day, on how they spent the day, right? So I saw reports of politicians and bureaucrats, doing what anyone would do on any day off kind of thing and just enjoying the day, but they want to know what people are doing to reflect that day, which I think is right. It should be a day of reflection, similar to Remembrance Day, right? You want to remember for a purpose, and there's nothing wrong with that, having a whole country setting aside a day for a purpose so that everyone can reflect on it, taking a moment, doing activities that at least keep things that have happened in our remembrance so they don't happen again. There's nothing wrong with that. And I do think it should be a holiday, or at least, a stat for for all of us in Canada. So, Ajax-based asphalt recycler suing the city of Greater Sudbury for $1 million. Remember, they had that recycling pavement company in town doing a job, and then mid-contract, someone from the city came out and said, no, we want to inspect your asphalt. And it was subpar. Like it didn't have, the city's high standards for asphalt, which we're known for our great roads in Sudbury, right? So this contractor was kind of booted off the contract and the city kind of took it over. Anyways, now they're suing the city for $1 million. Sudbury Star reporting this in their newsletter this morning. The firm behind the failed asphalt recycling project is suing the city of Greater Sudbury for more than $1 million. Ajax-based Road Surface Recycling, hired by the city in 2023 to complete a hot-in-place asphalt recycling pilot project, is suing the municipality for the right to complete the project, as well as compensation. RSR's statement of claim, filed October 4th, seeks an order requiring the city to allow the company to complete the pilot project under revised and mutually agreed upon specifications that address the practical challenges of the hot in place asphalt recycling process and the alleged discrepancies identified in certain unspecified testing and quality assurance testing. So they're not happy, as no company would, as they come into the city. And this whole technology, all it does is it takes the old asphalt, so it rips up the old asphalt with a machine. It basically breaks it down, heats it up, and adds a few more things to it to reprocess it, recycle it, so you're not throwing the old asphalt into landfills. Well, I think it's a great technology. And then repaves it down on the road. So the city comes along and says, let's test this material, which was already taken from material that the city commissioned to be put down in the first place, which we know are subpar because we ride on these roads that are full of potholes all the time. We just came back from Illinois and Wisconsin. Amazing roads, most of them concrete. They do most of their roads in concrete, which is a far superior way of making roads. Lasts forever. And pristine. No potholes. But you might say, yeah, but we have cold weather and we have big trucks. That's what you've been told. And if you ever look at a map, you can see where Wisconsin is located. They're the same latitude north as we are. They get the same cold temperatures as we do. But yet, Wisconsin and Michigan's roads, because we took Michigan to get there and back, Michigan's just as cold as Northern Ontario. Their roads are fine. They have just as big trucks driving on their roads as we do. Their roads are fine. So if you get out of Sudbury and go to other places other than Timmins, which has the same problems we do, or anyone who just used subpar product when you're paving the road, and then subpar protocol to follow while you're making the roads. So if you make it properly, the roads will last 100%. So the city comes along and takes this test of the asphalt and says, oh, it's subpar. It doesn't have everything it needs to have. Well, that was the asphalt the city commissioned to be put down in the first place. So what does that tell you? This is weird stuff. I can't wait to see what's going to come out of this lawsuit. And Liette, good morning to you. Good morning, everyone, with hand clapping emojis. Hope you're having a great morning. Along with Belinda. Maybe they were a decent company that would make big changes in the way and condition of our roads, probably cost effective too. Yeah, maybe it would be a great solution. Exactly. You wouldn't want that. Higher standards for sure. I'm all for higher standards of roads. Like we say, we've anyone who's been out of Sudbury sees good roads. You know that they exist. You know that other cities have them. Not all. There's some cities that are similar to Sudbury that you can tell they're just subpar. I think it's a money thing. I think friends of politicians have construction companies. It's just me. I don't know. It's my point of view, and I'm entitled to it. Everyone's entitled to it. And it's a way for people to get lucrative contracts, and people will go for it every 5 years or so. You get into the mindset that we need a new road to be totally rebuilt again. When it was done 5 years ago, it needs to be totally redone. It's like, no, roads should last at least 15 years before they need to be done again. At least. Anyone who knows anything about road engineering and construction knows this, and they're just pulling the wool over your eyes in the city. So I think, every 5 years, big contracts have to be handed out with lots of money. And so people's palms get greased in the process. As money changes hands, there's always things going on. And I'm still wanting an audit of the city. I'm still going to do everything in my power to put it in the minds of Sudburyans that they need to demand a third-party audit of our city and its finances, because I think the roads are an indication that something is going on that doesn't smell right. You shouldn't have roads in as much disrepair as we have in our city. It just is what it is. So someone's got to ask for something. Get to the bottom of it. Good morning, Andrew. Thanks for joining us. Much appreciated. And Belinda says the city likes to keep us at subpar. Possibly. Yeah, no. Well, what do we have, right? Well, we'll have $100 million library, which is important, as we know, right? That's a good priority to have. When my sister came to visit, she said the roads are in better shape in Bosnia. Well, yeah, exactly. This is what people know when they come from other places and they visit Sudbury. It allows me for my joke. It makes for the good joke. NASA came here when they were preparing for the moon landing. Remember, because the surface of Sudbury's roads were basically the same as the moon surface. So they just rode on our roads, and the potholes were like craters, right? Anyways, we don't have the pothole issue around here. It's cold here and high traffic, and I believe that's Collingwood area. So yeah, cold there as well, and you got good roads. So wherever you have a good city council and good culture, city culture, who understand the needs, the basic needs of a community, you have good roads. The money being spent on the event center can go to a lot of fixing, for sure. And how about just a lot of just building the roads right in the first place? How about get a company here who knows how to build roads, show us, and we have to build roads to that standard from here on in. Let's raise the bar. Exactly. Our dirt roads are in better shape, and you are so right on that. Yeah, dirt roads are in better shape than our paved roads. All you got to do is drive on them. And that's the first thing that comes to your mind. So speaking of things that should be a certain way, or why are they a certain way? Why is the medical system the way that it is? A little bit of a history lesson here from a video that I found on YouTube. Just if this is the first time you've heard it, it just gives a lot of clarity of why our medical system is the way that it is. Now, we're supposed to have this yesterday, but we're having it today.
Medical establishment does not like alternative medicine. In the 19th century, there were two types of medical practitioners in the U.S., allopathic doctors and alternative healers. Allopathic doctors diagnose and treat illnesses with pharmaceuticals, surgery, and other conventional methods. Alternative healers used natural remedies. Since anybody could claim to be a healer, many did. Natural healers were cheaper and plentiful. Mainstream doctors weren't making any money. So in 1847, they formed a trade union called the American Medical Association, the AMA.
The AMA started out as a union.
Yep,
Isn't a union's job to protect the interests of its members?
it is. So in 1901, the Journal of the American Medical Association released a statement.
The growth of the profession must be stemmed if individual members are to find the practice of medicine a lucrative profession.
So the AMA was created so doctors can make more money?
That's right.
Isn't this corrupt?
I'm not judging, I'm just telling you what happened. The AMA brought in the Carnegie Foundation to survey medical schools. In 1910, they released a report calling for standardizing medical training and eliminating non-scientific practices.
And who determines what's scientific?
The AMA does.
Of course.
Schools teaching alternative medicine were forced to drop these courses or lose funding and their ability to grant an MD. This led to a significant reduction in medical schools.
They offered tremendous amounts of money to the schools that would agree to cooperate with them. Almost overnight, all of the major universities received large grants from these sources and also accepted 1, 2, or 3 of these people that I mentioned on their board of directors, and the schools literally were taken over by the financial interests that put up the money.
In 1904, there were 160 schools granting MDs to more than 28,000 students. By 1920, only 85 medical schools were left. By 1935, the number had dropped to just 66.
New awareness of past injustices in many parts of our society. That's true in the fields of science and medicine, which are starting to look more carefully at their own history.
Most medical schools for blacks and all medical schools for women were now closed. So if you were black or a woman, becoming an MD and getting into the AMA was difficult.
The American Medical Association is one of the country's oldest, largest, and best-known associations of doctors. Its voice has long been influential, but now the AMA is finally beginning to come to terms with racism in its own past.
The doctor is the only one entitled by training, by experience, and by law to take care of the sick.
The AMA established allopathic medicine as the only acceptable type of medicine to practice. Alternative medicine was marginalized and in some cases made illegal.
Even if the natural medicine worked?
Yep.
This is bad.
It gets worse.
It always does.
The doctors from that point forward in history would be taught pharmaceutical drugs. All of the great teaching institutions in America were captured by the pharmaceutical interests in this fashion, and it's amazing how little money it really took to do it.
Every time a new type of alternative medicine was introduced, the AMA would attack. George Doc Simmons was head of the AMA from 1900 to 1924, and Morris Fishbein from 1924 to 1949. They labeled alternative practitioners as quacks and used the Journal of the American Medical Association to ruin the reputations of anyone they deemed a threat to mainstream medicine. The FDA was formed in 1906, but it wasn't until 1962 that drug companies had to prove their products worked and were safe. Before then, pharmaceutical companies needed the AMA seal of approval.
Then how did the drugs get approved? Yeah, I should have seen that coming.
If you were a drug company and wanted to get into the Journal of the AMA, you had to pay. That was it. The AMA didn't test drugs for safety or efficacy. They had no labs or researchers. The AMA just collected money. Oh, the AMA leaders would buy stock in that drug company before endorsing the drug, so they can cash in when the stock price went up. Medical establishment does not like alternative medicine. In the 19th century, there were two types of medical practitioners in the U.S., allopathic doctors and alternative healers. Allopathic doctors diagnose and treat illnesses with pharmaceuticals, surgery, and other conventional methods. Alternative healers used natural remedies. Since anybody could claim to be a healer, many did. Natural healers.
You got to love the reels, right? Because they just kind of repeat. And sometimes they repeat. You're not even sure they've repeated already, but they seem to you could just kind of keep watching it over and over. Gives you a little breakdown of what happened with our medical system. You had kind of a form of what we have now where people like to give drugs and, the more of the mindset of the medical system that we have now. And then you also had homeopathic doctors and alternative medicines. And I guess they were just kind of looped into one kind of category. And the American Medical Association just basically formed as a union for the allopathic side, and then took over. And the pharmaceuticals funded. They took over all the medical schools, and basically, yeah, that's all it was. They kind of just took over things, and then went on campaigns to just demonize anything that wasn't a part of it, right? So now you just have doctors who prescribe drugs. So if you have anything, any problem, they just prescribe a drug. That's what they're taught in medical school. Why are they taught that in medical school? Because medical schools are bought and paid for by who? Well, pharmaceutical companies. So you can kind of see it's like a circle, just a circular thing. Pharmaceutical companies are in charge of whatever doctors are taught. Doctors go out into the world being only taught that pharmaceuticals are the problem solver for everything. Case in point, I went to the doctor one time and said, I have headaches that I've been getting, quite severe headaches for quite a while. And I'm not sure where they're coming from. And he said, well, are you sensitive to light? I said, no. And he said, oh, are you sensitive to sounds? I said, no. He said, oh, are you sensitive to temperature change or something like that? And I said, no. He goes, oh, okay, I know what I can give you. Since you're sensitive to light and you're sensitive to sound and you're sensitive to temperature change, here's a new thing that I just got from my pharmaceutical rep. You can try it out. That's exactly what you need. And I was like, wow, he totally said the opposite thing that I said to him back. And then gave me pharmaceutical that hasn't even been tested yet. It was from his rep and it was free. So he was just going to give it to me free to try. But he said that's going to help my headaches. And I went home perplexed from this exchange with my doctor. And I was speaking to a friend, and my friend said, how much water do you drink? And I said, I drink 0 water. I do not like water. I never drink water. And they said, that's your problem. You're dehydrated. You just need to drink water. So here's a doctor who went to, I don't know how many years of medical school with a problem, to diagnose a problem, which is a simple headache. And that's what happened with my one little experience. So I can imagine many people have larger experiences than that for much larger ailments and things they go through. But mine was just a headache. But it does show a doctor who went through that many years of schooling. That was his suggestion to me, was to take this new pharmaceutical drug. It wasn't tested yet. It was given to him by his pharmaceutical rep because I had a headache. Whereas my friend, who had no schooling whatsoever, was not a doctor, totally understood that my headache was caused by a lack of drinking water. So why couldn't the doctor have honed in on that? Why couldn't he have known? Why didn't that even cross his mind? And you know what? I started drinking water, and guess what? My headaches went away, and I haven't had them since. And I had really bad headaches, really, really bad headaches. Well, I guess you're going to have really, really bad headaches if you don't drink any water, when your body is mostly water and needs water, right? So again, this is what the medical industry does. It demonizes people like my friend who would say, maybe you just need more water. They're not a medical expert. They don't know what they're talking about. Meanwhile, the result speaks for itself. Yeah, Bill Gates did that with the experimental injections and profited well by encouraging mandates. Excuse me. And then pulled all of his investments and did an about face on his support. Plain as day. So Bill Gates, yes, he's definitely contributing to this movement, I guess, of pharmaceuticals, as we saw very recently. Even the FDA did not, N-O-T capital letters, do trials. Rather, they took biotech's word for their trials. Big funding, yes, big funding. Amazingly, none of his family is vaccinated. That's Belinda. Jerome says, your doctor knows only what the pharmaceutical salesman tells them. And yeah, man in a white, man in a white coat, not to trust, LOL. Well, you remember back in the day when, and they even do it now, different commercials, they'll have someone in a lab coat because you can trust someone in a lab coat, a white lab coat, right? So it's just the optics of it kind of thing. A friend dialed in on their diet when getting headaches, ended up eating onions and chocolate within 24 hours. Each other were the cause and tested to verify. Really? A friend on their diet when getting headaches ended up eating onions and chocolate within 24 hours of each other were the cause. Okay, so that's interesting. And again, just simple things like that, right? That we see in our lives. All of us have stories like this, even if we do kind of buy into the whole medical system the way that it is now. We have, stories of when we've had grandma's remedy or whatever that we took and made us feel better and that worked. And then we have stories of, when you take one solution from pharmaceutical company, it causes another problem in which you need another pharmaceutical. Then that causes 2 or 3, 4 more problems. And then you need 3. And then by the time you're done, you got this big handful of pills that you have to take each and every day. And that's, I guess, part of the plan. If you owned a company that made pills, wouldn't you want people taking a handful of your pills each and every day? Yes, you would. And it's a business. And we don't talk about that very much anymore. It seems to be a lot of people are just, they used to know that and they used to be, call a spade, but nowadays it seems like, I don't know, because of what just happened, I guess you're crazy if you think pharmaceutical companies are anything other than about profits, right? They're companies. They are traded on the stock market. They make money. So do they care about your health or do they care about money? And that's a question we have to ask ourselves. I would hope, as someone who cares about your health more than anyone else cares about your health, that you would ask yourself that. Does this particular drug company care about my health or do they care about making money? Really, honestly, just ask yourself that. Like the answer is clear at the end of the day. It is what it is. So, but if somebody comes to you and says, hey, go in your backyard and there's a certain tree that grows there and you take some of the bark off that and you go and make a tea out of it and drink it and that will be your solution. Oh, they're not profiting off that. Like, so do they care more about your health or more about making money? That person who gave you that solution, does my friend who told me to drink more water, did they care more about my health or did they care more about making money? Obviously, they cared more about my health because they made no money. So you ask yourself that. That's it. It's pretty. And then the answer is very, very simple. Celtic salt. I've never heard the term Celtic salt, but I will now look into that. Thank you very much, Belinda. Okay, I've been revealing that since well before social media was a thing, LOL. Yes, and sometimes we're caused to have certain things happen in our lives that Celtic sea salt. Interesting. Perfect. I have heard of sea salt, but not necessarily Celtic. But yeah, we've had things happen in our lives that have caused us to go down rabbit holes of health. And a lot of us have been able to find really cool things that we know are real. And then we're able to see, you know, the medical system, if you will, in North America, at least, that they're kind of broken. They're very broken. And it is a business. And when we ask ourselves, do they care more about the money or care more about our health? And then the answer is clear, yeah, it makes you start thinking for yourself, and you need to be more in charge of your health. Now, having said that, as we take Nana as an example, who's here on the show this morning, she had to go get an operation. Well, homeopathy isn't going to help you with your operation that you need. Sometimes you need the medical system, and there are things about the medical system that are very good, and it's good to know which things are good and which things to look out for. So one thing is, if I had a broken limb or whatever and I needed a cast, I wouldn't go to a chiropractor. I wouldn't go to a homeopath. I wouldn't go to my naturopath. I would go to the hospital, and they have the tools and the resources there to put my bone back in place, put a cast on it. And that's great. And maybe, just maybe, I might need a pharmaceutical. I just might need a pain relief, a medicine that gives me pain relief for that. And then I'm done. And then I'm good. Or I might need an operation. I might need a knee replaced or a hip replaced or whatever. That the only place to get it done is from a surgeon who has experience and been to school and knows how to do surgery. Again, right? So I find our medical system, for things like that, you can't ask for better. We are very blessed to have that as part of our medical system. So all the people listening that are saying, why is he so against our medical system? It's not that I'm against the medical system. I'm against certain aspects of it. And unfortunately, money interests have taken front and center in seats in our medical system. And it's a money pit, and it just drains our tax dollars in Canada because we have a socialist healthcare system that's, just takes our tax money and there's no accountability in it. Talking about money that's just wasted in the city level. Well, holy cow. On the federal and provincial level, it is just a money pit. Health. You don't know what happens when you swipe your health card. You just don't. But in the United States, and many people like to knock their system of health and say, well, many people don't have it and blah, blah, blah. Well, why are so many people flocking to go to that country if they have such a bad medical system? You know what I mean? And why is it the country everyone wants to be like and everyone wants to go to? There's reasons for that. So anyways, at least in the United States, and they do have bad aspects of their medical system as well. And we could point those out and just talk about them. There's no perfect system anywhere, but it's better than ours. I can guarantee you that. So when you swipe your credit card or debit card in the States, when you go to the hospital, you at least know exactly what's being, what things cost when you swipe that card, and you'll get a bill. And there's a breakdown of everything on there of what you're paying for. Whereas in Canada, what? How much did that just cost, what I just got done? It's just in this mysterious void. It's just this cash cow. How do we even know our doctors aren't overcharging the medical system? They're double swiping our health card or saying they did things they didn't do for us because there's no accountability. They don't give us a paper to sign, saying, oh, just verify we did this for you. So that way, when we submit it to the government for the money, it shows that you approved and you know what we did and what it cost. No, there's nothing like that. It's terrible. It's just unfortunate and not right. And it's socialist, and that just goes along with another form of socialism that just happens behind a veil, a curtain that you can't see. There's no transparency, no accountability. anyways, that's all the time we got for today. It was a great discussion. Really appreciate you guys for being on. And thanks for being here with us on this Tuesday, October the 8th, 2024. You can check us out on demand on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and Sudbury.news. And also make sure to like, share, subscribe, and follow those channels and pages. And check out Sudbury.news for all the latest from Sudbury.com, Sudbury Star, CBC, CTV, all located on Sudbury.news. Stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU 96.7 FM. And thank you very, very much for all of your input, everyone, on today's show. You always make it great. We'll see you same time, same place, on the same platforms at the same time tomorrow, God willing. Have a great one. Ciao.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.